Athletes, take your mark. Get set. It's time for the Addict II Athlete Podcast. Hey, everybody out there, Coach Lou Robinson here. I want to thank you all so much for downloading, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast. Dang, I greatly appreciate you doing so. As always, keep an eye on that website, addicttoathlete.org. You'll find all of our backlog podcasts, information about the team, how to start a chapter of Addict to Athlete in your community, and so much more. Jump on Addict II Athlete, even to jump on the team store. Believe it or not, we have a team store. You can be officially representing Addict to Athlete in any event or race you have by jumping on the team store and finding some awesome products that we've got out there for you. All proceeds go to the Addict to Athlete nonprofit chapter to help us kind of push these things forward. And athletes, check out the calendar while you're there. We got some amazing upcoming events, including some stuff we're going to be talking about today on the podcast about a chapter that's opening up here in northern Utah, which we're super excited about. So all of our events, our proxy runs, which the registration will be open very soon, will all be found on the calendar events and the tabs there on the website. Athletes, I'm excited today to have a guest in studio, one that I am so stoked to be having on the team. And I'm sure he'll talk a little bit about how he and I met and some of the endeavors that he's going to be part of as he's erasing and replacing in life. And Jason, I want to thank you for driving all the way out here pretty much every Tuesday and then some to be part of Addict to Athlete, because Tooele, Utah is where you hail from home. Let's jump into this podcast by introducing yourself as officially one of Addict to Athlete's newest recovery coaches. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thanks, Blue. Yeah, that's welcome, everybody. My name's Jason Gonzalas, Coach Gonzalas.
Coach Gonzalas.
Coach Gonzalas.
Sounds good. Got a ring to it, brother.
I love the ring to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I actually grew up in Tooele all my life. So, in and out of there. The drive from here to there. That's actually one of the best things that I love about coming out this far. It's a place where I get to listen to podcasts and honestly do the erase and replace. Because I process emotions and everything through as I'm listening to podcasts on the way out here and stuff like that. So it's therapy. Driving's therapy session for me. So
it is for me too, man.
Yeah. I just love it because I get all my thoughts together, just like on the way out here today. Okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? Okay, well, how am I going to put this all together? Do everything is coming into mind, just everything and any kind of emotions that I've been going through throughout the day. Because life just loves to throw things at us. But hey, guess what? It's those choices and stuff like that I get to think through, stop, reflect, and then make that correct one. So
I love it, man. I love it. Well, touch base a little bit, brother. Like you and I had a very unique way to meet. But before we get to that point, let's talk a little bit about what brought you here, like on this path of recovery and kind of like the pursuit and whatnot. Because, where I met you, I was really in the mindset of like going out there doing some service and doing some stuff with the population. And when I met you, you come from a pretty heavy background yourself. And, addiction played pretty heavy in your life, like it does most of us, myself included. Somehow you made a pivot point, and I'd love to know kind of a little bit about maybe some history, but then like that pivot where you thought, I'm going to dust myself off, get back up and get back in the fight because I'm not going to surrender to addiction.
Correct. So throughout my life, I've had 35 years of addiction, honestly. Every time I've actually been incarcerated, probably, I'd have to say, estimated about 10 years in incarceration, from jails, in and out of jails, to state prison to federal prison throughout my life. So this time I went from just real quick 5 to life to, 1 to 15 and, currently still on probation, which is fine, onto a 90-day program. And that's actually how I was able to meet you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So through the jail system. But the great thing about that is honestly, going through the whole system and everything else, I'm amazed that they're still taking a chance on myself, because throughout my history, it's proven that I'm not trustworthy and I've had these addictions and everything else, but the system's honestly not willing to give up on me yet.
Yeah.
Which is great. You know what I mean? It's a great thing and it's a great aspect. And what better way to give back to my community, to thrive and everything, to show them, hey, look, we do recover. Look, you know what I mean? I can recover. I can, as the old saying goes, you can't teach a dog new tricks. Oh, sure you can. Because guess what? This is exactly what I'm doing. And this is how I can thrive and give back to my community, but also build that trust back within my community, back within the correction and rate can go down. And the therapy does help and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. So,
well, I love that, man. And I'm glad that you haven't given up on like that factor either, that you're not looking at it through the us versus them mentality that typically happens. You see the benefit in that intervention, despite the fact that it probably sucked, But you're like, hey, it's not us against them. Like I kind of get a feel for what I did, and I needed to have that opportunity and that time away to kind of get myself straight. But like, how important has it been for you not to look at law enforcement or judicial as the enemy, more so like what I think you look at them as a catalyst to something next? Like, is that important, do you think?
100%. Here's how very important it is to me. And here's how it's my integrity and my gratitude, because honestly, if I wouldn't have got pulled over, if this wouldn't have happened, who knows if I would still be alive today from the fentanyl addiction and the other addictions that I had, So every Monday I show up to drug court just to show the judge, that, hey, look, I'm here, I'm doing great. But here's the other thing it gave me the opportunity to do. I had the opportunity to actually shake the hand of the prosecuting attorney and say, I said, I'm Jason Gonzalas. I'm sure you remember me, hey, I just want to shake your hand and tell you thank you. And I understand it was my track record of why the things that you wanted to prosecute me on. I understand that. But let me tell you what I'm doing today. Let me tell you about Addict II Athlete and how I'm becoming this life coach and how I'm just striving and I'm part of other organizations out there and just being part of my sober community, And he was just like, he was blown away. He loves that stuff. Like I couldn't even express the big smile on his face, just but it's the gratitude. I'm sure they don't hear that all, Like this is probably very rarely that somebody will go up and shake his hand and say, hey, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I understand. You know what I mean? Like, and I have to look at it that way. It's me that I broke that trust within the courts. I broke that trust because they've gave me plenty of chances throughout life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I
came back in front of the different judges or same judges. And you're like, look, but and I have to give a shout out to Judge Hogan because he still remembered me. I graduated drug court before. Yeah. And then here I'm coming back 3 years later on a major relapse and everything else. But hey, he still didn't give up, and this is the opportunity.
That's huge, man. It's huge because I think what it does, it builds those relationships that you might have to use when you need them, either as a listening ear or a catalyst forward. It doesn't have to be an us versus them, because I think the us versus them needs to be us against the addiction, not the people that are really trying to help us get to that next level. Does that make sense? Like
100%.
We're channeling the anger in the wrong direction when we look at law enforcement or judicial system as the problem. It's the addiction, not them.
Exactly. And that's the main key. It's when we're in our addiction, these different thoughts and different things and go through our mind, and it's usually in our addiction, it's us against them. It's like I'm a cop gets behind me or something, I'm just all scared or panicked or anything else. But guess what? Out of my addiction, there's no panicking, there's no anything. But here's another thing. It's also that, let alone just the court system, but I also had to give thanks to the staff at the Twila County detention facility.
Yeah.
So I bought like 10 specialty pizzas from Pizza Hut, went and had them delivered, and just like as a thanks of gratitude, because honestly, they ended up taking a chance on me, and they're also let me become a trustee and stuff like that. But the behind the scenes when you're in the pods, but you're not being in a trustee in the laundry, behind the scenes, all these staff and guards, they're just normal people. Yeah. They actually give me words of encouragement. They're like, hey, I want to see you do good out there and just thrive. If how you doing today? They're normal people, man. You know what I mean? We, a lot of us being in, I'll be honest, I used to be institutionalized, coming out of the federal penitentiary and stuff like that. And certain things, but, I had to learn to rewire my brain to be like, look, man, it's the choices that I make. And that's where you have to dig down deep and hard inside yourself and say, it's me. It's never them. Yeah. It's me. I'm the one that made those choices. Of course, you're going to have some of the feelings. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so, yeah.
Well, that's where I met you. And since you opened the can, I'll keep pouring from it. I was asked to help out with the program called Rise that James Childs created, and an amazing program that kind of helps strengthen your recovery by giving some educational backgrounds and whatnot. And when I first met you, you were pretty much gung ho. You were like, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about." And I've been in those situations before where I'm like, "All right, this guy seems to have like a desire to want to change." The rubber hits the road once all this is over, but you never did slow down, man. You were pretty much like in gear the entire time. And I'll never forget, Jason, how you were like, okay, I need your numbers. So I want to get out. I want to help you. I like this Addict II Athlete idea. And if I had a quarter for every time someone said that and never showed up, Jason, you and I could go out and have a steak dinner tonight. But so maybe apologize to a certain degree. I kind of felt like you would fall into that same category. You'll get out, you'll get back into the rhythm of what life was like before all this. And that, hey, we'd had a great run in here, but outside to be gone. That next Friday when I rolled in there, you were waiting for me in the parking lot of the jail. You came back to jail to make sure that I had my ducks in a row. And that's when I knew, I'm like, there's something different about this guy. He's serious. And then when I saw you showing up and kind of presented to you, hey, Jason, there's a whole nother experience maybe you need to take here by becoming one of our certified coaches, because we had the beginning of a chapter in Tooele, Utah, but the coach that was there had to move back to St. George because that's where his child was moving to. And so just as he started priming the pump, he had to leave. I think that's our higher power. I think that's God. That's the Spirit saying like, hey, this community needs this. You showed up to take those reins. So I'm curious on your perspective, kind of like, what was your thought, man, about like, why buy into it? You didn't know much about me. You didn't know much about Addict II Athlete until you got out and could do your research. But like, why this move for you? What was it about what we were doing that you wanted to be a part of?
So number one is I'm glad you brought I'm very spiritual myself. And one of the things is God's showing me the whole time in my life, like, this is the way I need you to go through, for addiction recovery, honestly. So, and I look at my past addictions as, people can call me crazy, whatever, but look, I had to go through all that pain and suffering and everything else through the different addictions, because guess what? Now I can, in the mental health, because guess what? Now I can use that and be able to relate to other people, be able to relate, and how we can overcome that, how I can turn my pain into a power, And one of the biggest things is I talked to you guys about it even in the jail. My mom passed on when I was passed while I was in there. So, but the big thing of it is I made her a promise also. And I told her about everything and how I'm going to become part of, I love Rise also. I'm like you said, the Rise, you know what I mean? I have my Rise family. I have my Addict Athlete family. I have my Tatanka Warriors family. I have all kinds of families.
You're not just typecasting yourself into one paradigm. You are spreading your wings wide.
100%. Because here's the thing is, I love to collaborate, and I love to collaborate with all the different support, because we can learn something from everyone and each one of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not every, program or every aftercare or anything else only has just one, we can just grab from it's my playbook, man. It's my playbook. I can take things from all these other different playbooks and stuff like that, take all these plays out, and I can build that grand scheme of plays that works for me. Number one,
for you.
Works for me.
It's
number
your
one.
playbook. Yeah.
It's my playbook, but I can also offer all kinds of plays and different routes out there for all my athletes that come that's part of this, right? They can pick and choose of, hey, which plays they love, which plays works for them, how they can go through everything. So, so that's my biggest strive. That's my biggest strive, but I know myself, if I do not stay in, and this is where I had to dig down deep and say, look, dude, like, if you don't stay engaged in this supportive community and helping others, you'll be back to addiction.
Yeah.
You will lead back to addiction.
You had that conversation with yourself.
100%. Wow. I have to have that conversation to myself, because I know myself. I'm 50 years old and I've had 35 years of addiction. I went through treatments. I've been through, I've had all these other different tools, but the biggest tool, and honestly, that hit me this time was, my core issues. When you brought the whole dynamic of the core issues and I was like, wow, man, like, this goes all the way back to kindergarten. This was this path of set me up, because I love being vulnerable. So like I have what's called Perthes disease in my left hip and stuff. So when I was in kindergarten, they had me in this metal brace, and I had a bar in between the legs, and I had to walk like a penguin, So the thing about my core issues is abandonment and neglect, not from my family. No, but from other children,
Absolutely.
From other kids, you know what I mean?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then, and also throughout that abandonment and neglect also came other issues of, okay, I love food. I would eat my emotions away then. Yeah. Also, you know what I mean?
Happens.
And, and another thing I take a look at also when it comes into perspective is, is when it comes to families and trying to, and back in those days and stuff like that, they're conditioned to. So
for sure,
you know what I mean? So
yes.
they were taught to raise children a certain way.
Yep.
You know, my parents were baby boomers, you know what I mean? So they're conditioned to, because it's funny. I remember having a conversation with one of my ex-girlfriends. It was funny because that's how we actually ended up meeting. We started talking about how we was disciplined throughout life, right?
Oh, how funny.
And
trauma bonding.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of funny because we was talking about being disciplined, and it's crazy how, and she lived in Colorado, and I'm out here in Utah, and we ended up connecting in Utah, or in Colorado, but was talking to this other person, and it's the same thing, how we was disciplined. It all matched up. We just started laughing about just the different things of the different sayings and stuff like that we do. You know, here's one of my great sayings is, do you really want something to cry about? You know what I mean? That's just one of those tough, I mean, and my dad was, my grandpa, let's put it this way. So I've seen my grandfather was in the nursing home, and I'll be darned if each one of his sons, they're in their 50s, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, they're still just was scared of him to that day because they didn't know how to take his driver's license away.
Oh,
they're
man.
like, no, you can't take it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to say nothing. But you know what I mean? So that's just the way they can condition their life. Now, do they hold a part in some of the things in my upbringings and stuff that happened in my life? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure you do. I'm going to hold you accountable for that. But guess what? I can still understand and relate to that you did the best you could also, but let me break that trauma. Let me break this generational trauma. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Because even in my grandfather's side and stuff like that, you know, I also have Native American roots, right?
You do.
So if anybody's done some research and stuff like that, there's a lot of trauma, and it's how we can engage in the mental health of and break those traumas. Yep. Because to me, if that's one thing that's what I strive for right now, and especially with Addict Athlete and my own chapter and stuff like that, you know, it's about honestly, let's try to get this mental health under control, because if we can get mental health under control and understand it's okay to have feelings, have those emotions and process those, but let's process them in a healthy way. Let's go ahead. You know what I mean? We're allowed to have depression. We're allowed to have feelings. We're allowed to be emotional. We're allowed to be sad. We're allowed to cry. We're allowed to all that. Yeah. And, you know, that brings up another topic. You know, I was raised up, man, don't cry, man, don't do this. Exactly. But guess what? The more I went through treatment, or even with the different things that you taught in therapy there, it's like, it's okay. It's okay to go ahead and show those emotions. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's okay, because guess what? Does that make me less of any of a man? No, that makes me a bigger man.
Makes you more.
Guess what? More of a man, because I can actually help other children and stuff like that. I don't have children of my own, but guess what? I can also help other that's what Addict Athlete to me about. That's what that's why I wanted to become this life coach. You know what I mean? To become a coach and to help others in recovery and stuff like that. Because not only is it for, you know, addicts and everything else, this is for family, man. Absolutely. This is for family, muggles and all that. You know what I mean? I looked up the technical term for muggles, you know what I mean? And it was just awesome. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And you don't have to have an addiction, but I'm sure somebody somewhere in throughout families and stuff like that, they may know somebody has an addiction, but it gives them a chance. Here's the biggest thing that my takeaway also is, I remember going to treatment the first time, and my mother grabbed my journal. She says, "Can I look at that?" Well, that's mom. I ain't going to say no to her. Yeah. And she starts reading it, and she's like, now guess what? Guess what she just did and just popped in my brain? Oh my gosh, mom just got an understanding of my feelings and my emotion, my thoughts. Yeah. Some of my thoughts, because I had some, I'm vulnerable, man. Yeah. So like, you know what I mean? I had some way dark stuff, suicidal stuff, everything else, and that things I'd be able to move past, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like a really good brother that died, hung himself, stuff like that. And I was on my way to pick him up. So that was one of the things I processed through that time was like, didn't I speed enough? Didn't I go fast enough when he called me?
Shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Yeah.
Shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But in all reality, after I worked through all that and everything, emotions, like he still had that choice he needed to make. No matter how hard I put it on it, he was making that. He was making that choice.
Yeah. And so your mom's reading this and seeing all this stuff, and she's like, "Ooh!" But at least she got to know. She got to feel like this is the stuff he's carrying. And no wonder he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders.
100%. Then they also get literature behind him and stuff like that. The doctor's points of views and everything else from the different, aspects and diagnosis and stuff like that from a clinical standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Of what addiction's about, how it affects some of the brain and everything else. It gives them the whole
perspective and view on what's going on inside, man. And I love that about you, Jason. I think that's one of the biggest things that's made you very, I think, real with the team is that when you've shown up, it's you that shows up. It's there's no mask, there's nothing. It's literally when you walked out of that last incarceration, you left everything behind. You're like, I'm coming out a new man. And you became, I didn't know you before all this, but you're a man of your word. And I think that sense of integrity, you don't want to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you say you're going to be somewhere, do something, you do it, you show up. And I've watched you do that since I've met you. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with that. That's very rare these days. You've seen this when you've come down with the team and you've wanted to bring other people with you and they kind of flake you off. You're like, well, dang it, know?
Today's just another example. Yesterday, I was at Aftercare with the other foundation, you know what I mean? With Rise and stuff. And the other guys were like, oh yeah, I want to go down with it. I'm like, okay, well, here's my number. If you guys want to go, I'm going to go down. You guys can meet, you know what I mean? Check it out and stuff like that. They're all hyped up. But guess what? You have to put in that work. I'm not going to call you back. You say you want to go, you need to show up also.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need to be held accountable because, you know what I mean? I hold very high pride in my, and when I say, if I'm going to do something, that I'm a man of my word.
Your word, your word's your bond.
And when I give out my number to somebody, if they need help or support or something, I have that designated. I have two lines. I have my Addict II Athlete line and then and my sober community line, let's put it that way, and everything else. And then I have a personal number. My community line, that I don't care if it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't care if it's 3 in the morning. I don't care if it's 1 in the morning, whatever. Yeah. If somebody's in crisis mode and we need to talk or something, or even if I had to jump up, put some clothes on, come meet you just to help you to make a healthy choice instead of that wrong choice that I went down so many times. And you know what I mean? Because honestly, here's the thing too, is I was never able to talk to my family about it because guess what? I feel ashamed.
Right.
You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So would I really open up to my family? On certain things, yes, but on a lot of the major, no. I'd rather, and I had a good crisis work and stuff like that too. Like even when I was in the jail and stuff, like Lorena Applegate, you know what I mean? She was right there for me. But guess what? A real crisis, a person like Lorena, she's going to tell you how it is too. Yeah. So be ready for her to call you out, like, "What are you doing?" This and that. Because when I did relapse and went in the jail, she's like, like what? You know, she didn't put some kind words in there, but she still gave it to me. You know, just like, guess what? I deserve every bit
that shows
of that.
How much she cared. Believe it or not, that's the caring part of it. Well, she's willing to sacrifice that relationship with you by shooting straight. And if you don't like to hear this, then I can't be real with you. And so that you allowing her to do that is huge because that's an ultimate form of respect. Tell me how it is. Don't blow smoke. Like, shoot me straight, right?
Well, that's 100%. I'd rather have somebody tell me the truth, whether it hurts or not.
Exactly.
Than sit there and lie to me. What's that? What's you know what I mean? What's that going to do for me? That ain't going to help me in my recovery.
No.
You know what I mean? If you're going to sit there and tell me what I want to hear, you know what I mean? Then I'm not being true to myself. Here's what I found for myself. And I'd like to use your term, world according to Jason. Right?
Yeah, I like him.
You know what I mean?
Go for it. I like it. Drop it. Yeah.
Heck yeah. So, but what I put in my recovery is what I'm going to get back out.
100%, brother.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If I'm going to go full blown and just do this like nonstop, guess what? My recovery's nonstop, man. I just love seeing people, seeing them and everything else and being able to actually talk to others and stuff like that. And, I just last Sunday, I just got baptized and everything else, but actually on church Sunday, this lady came up to me and she goes, I really love your testimony because I told them all about incarceration and how and you know what I mean? And it's the man. And honestly, and I have to give credit where my dues are is Jesus Christ, my Savior is the one who actually pulled me out of everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. And all that. So he's the day I surrendered, and I just gave her my testimony about where I came from and the incarceration and drugs and mental health and suicide and all that. And she was very inspired by it. And that's what I love about Addict II Athlete is, man, I got a big mess. And guess what, man? I have a big message to go out to everybody. Yes. So yeah, so that's.
I think it's great. Now I am curious about, you were part of our Top of Zion Ultra Relay team. We went down to Southern Utah with 12 of our teammates to go down there and tackle a huge 195-mile run. And we were in need of some volunteers, and I'd mentioned it in group, and you shot your hand up. You're like, I'll totally do it. And I don't think you realized what that meant to the team, because volunteers are our weight in gold. But I think you motivated this team probably so much more than even you comprehend, man. And I'm curious, that was the first big kind of like, I guess, event that you did with Addict II Athlete. And it was a big one, right out the gates. And I'm curious your viewpoint. I'm curious about kind of what you noticed, what you saw, and your perspective on you assisting this team get to that goal at the end. Walk me through your experience with it, because that came on the heels of you being like fully engaged on the team process.
So here's the thing: is that's a life-changing experience.
It really was, wasn't it?
100%. Because never did I think I'd go through the emotions and everything that I went through, even being a volunteer. Because guess what? Honestly, when it comes to volunteering, I'm number one on the podium, because without a volunteer, without all these aid stations, you're not going to finish that.
We're not going to make
it. So guess what? I'm the winner here.
You
no matter
really
what.
are.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's the way I look at it, my perspective. But here's the thing. From the time we started out, first thing in the morning, and Steve was the first runner, I started following. I'm like, man, it's dark. It's way dark in here. What if this car comes around the corner? I'm having fear for him. Yeah. And he's just out there doing,
he's just running along.
He's just running, doing and processing his stuff, or you know what I mean? But, but I'm just like, okay, for some reason, I couldn't go no more than probably a couple miles up the road, and I'd wait for him just to see, you know what I mean? And
make sure
that everything's okay and stuff like that. It was awesome, because let alone did that happen. The Tracy got in the car. She needed to run down real quick to go grab something. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, and then I have a conversation with her, and and then telling her my life story. She told me hers.
Like a brand new person.
You know what I mean? And I just gave her my perspective and everything else. And I heard her story and stuff like that. And man, it's just powerful. Each person has their own testimonies, and it doesn't, in my life, in World According to Jason, what my thing is every testimony I hear, I can relate, or I find value out of it. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? And with those emotions and stuff like that, also here's the other thing that I loved about it is, being there to hand them water or to mist them and stuff like that.
Hose them down with the mister. Yeah.
Being there in some of the worst times, because, they're like, oh, I need some water. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you're a lifesaver. You know what I mean? I was like, holy crap. Because like I said, I knew it was really hot, and I've had heat exhaustion, but I've had heat exhaustion before, and I know how it is. Like, so it's kind of, so when it was hot, when it was dark, it's just me. I'm a caring person, and I just want to make sure, hey, these are my teammates, man.
Yeah.
Guess what?
They need you.
This is my family. So I would do the same thing for my family. So this is my family. So as we're out on that road, you know what I mean? And whether I knew him from hide or hair or not, doesn't matter. I still can care for a person. I can still have those values. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I can still have that fear or care and make sure they're okay, because who wants at the end of the race somebody to have to go to the hospital or something like that? You know what I mean?
Well, I just thought it was cool too, brother, how you jumped in with both feet. Like, you didn't know any of them but me and a few of the other athletes that you've bumped into here for the limited amount of time you had. But realistically, it's like you'd been like a veteran on the team for decades. And I love the fact that you jumped in with both feet, and we couldn't have done it without you. But I am curious at the very end, because that was kind of an emotional time, man. Like, I wasn't even expecting it to be that emotional when we all crossed that finish line together. The relay is one person's out running at a time, but towards the end, we all got out and finished together. That was a powerful moment. And the crazy thing, and I love this, is that Team Addict II Athlete came in dead last out of all the other teams. But I'm a firm believer like you. I think we won. 100%.
We won 100%. 100%. Because also when we, at the end, after we crossed that finish line, everything else, just going through all the experiences, being able to process our different emotions and everything else, because each athlete has their own things that we work through and process, erase and replace, goods, bads, beautifuls, and, and stuff like that. Doing the huddle. The huddle was the biggest, one of the biggest things is having that huddle and just, the words of wisdom and everything else you said, that hit me at the heart too. But also here's another thing is what I loved about the erase and replace too is, guess what? I got to replace some of that the abandonment and neglect, because that love that everybody showed, let alone my team, but other teams just like, dude, we want you. We wanted to.
We almost lost you to the other team. I mean? There's other team want to scoop you up. Yeah. Yep.
Each time I'm like, Blue, do I need to be afraid of it? They're trying to kidnap me over here.
Yeah, man.
But no, they just love, They just
your
love
energy,
the energy and everything else. And that's the thing is, that's what I loved about it. But it also, they probably don't know how big of an impact that made me, because that made me feel wanted. Yeah. From strangers, total strangers, never even knew me, anything, Mm-hmm. That was big. That's why I say this was a life-changing event, because it's like, and then also as I, even let alone that event, as I go volunteer through these other events too. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just, I just love the outpouring, camaraderie and the support. And it's just that feeling of gratitude. And when I get a volunteer anyway, that's what makes the biggest impact in my life, because that's self-gratification for myself. I don't need anything out of it. You know what I mean? I actually, when I went down to Zion and I was just like, I was going down on my own dime, and you're just like, no, dude, I can, this is part of an athlete. I'm going to give you reimbursement. I'm like, hey, bonus, that's even better.
Absolutely.
Right on,
Well, and so as you did, you jumped in with both feet, and I'm curious because, Tooele, that's your place, and for those listeners that aren't from Utah, because we got quite a few, believe it or not, that listen to this from all over the country and some outside the country. Why does Tooele need a chapter of Addict II Athlete? What is it about Tooele that's like they need to really kind of take their place and not be counted as a stigma, but to show the world, hey, we've got some amazing people here. Why does Tooele need a chapter of Addict II Athlete? Well,
number one, Tooele, I believe, needs Addict II Athlete just because in our addictions, and I've actually talked to other people and stuff like that. I've bumped into people that are, it's been in their addiction still. And it's like, okay, I can give them a little bit of coaching, but I can't be around, you know what I mean? But here's what one said, is it said, what happens after life, after addiction? If I go get treatment and everything else, I'm scared. And I'm like,
who am I without it? Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so here's the thing is I want to, Tooele needs a lot, because number one, we're isolated and stuff like that. We're a small town out in West, you know what I mean? Of Salt Lake City. And it's about showing others in addiction recovery that, look, there's life after in recovery, right? Yes. So here's the thing is we get conditioned throughout our own lives and stuff like that. In our addiction, we get conditioned in our addiction that we isolate, we stay away, we start dropping out family events, start going to movies or doing fun events and something like that. With bringing Addict II Athlete back out there and stuff like that, and having a balance. Here's the thing I love about Addict II Athlete, and here's where it comes for me, myself, and this is why I'm throwing this, it's going to be throwing this into my chapter. It's a balance, man, a balance of everything. It's a balance of, being a little bit of, staying fit. It's a little balance of watch when I eat. It's a balance of being part of my community. It's a balance of service work and going out and doing these events. Here's the thing is, and just aftercare and stuff like that. And being able to give, and just go on hikes or do, you know what I mean?
Movement, get out.
Yes, exactly. Instead of staying isolated. There's another lady I was talking to that we was in drug court together. It was at the aftercare, and she's like, yeah, I just stay home by myself. You know what I mean? Because everybody else, this is a small town. I grew up there my whole life. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot still there is still in active use. Exactly. And so like when you drop off if you grew up in that town and that's your whole pack of community, like now I have no friends, I have no support, I have no nothing. Yeah, you do, man. Yeah, you do. Guess what? Because, and that's one of the other things I want to show them is like, let alone just Addict II Athlete, I'm going to collaborate with all these other organizations that are out there, and and we can do this, man. Like we can do this, but I think they're really going to love the aspect of going on hikes, you know what I mean? And being able to process a different way, right? This is a different total way that I haven't seen that I know myself, I grew up wanting to be a football star, this and that, but my hip, you know what I mean, didn't let me do that. But guess what? I played every sport when I was growing up. And so, and here's the other thing is, we are athletes, you know what I mean? We don't have to have that stigma or labels that other people would say to us and create us, because guess
100%.
what? Yeah, you know, we can change. And like I say, I turn my pain into power, man. So you want to label me something else? Guess what? I have a label that goes on top of that label. Because, you know what I mean? That's an old label. You know what I mean? Just like this, the manufacturers redo their designs on their bottles every so often, right? Well, guess what? That old label that they take off, it's the same thing in my addiction, man. That's an old label.
That's the old label.
Yeah,
don't need it anymore.
Nope. Yep. Here's the new reverse. This is that new vision right here.
I love it.
You know, so
I love it. And I see that in you. And I think that's why it's going to be such a success out there, is because you are not afraid to ask for help, which I think is one of the most crucial things we do in recovery. So many times we want to be the person that helps, but you know, we never do. And I think you are one of those guys that's like, hey, I can't do this by myself. I need help. And there are so many people that are willing to pitch in and help build it, right? I think you have to kind of like own the ugly, meaning like, all right, I got to drop some of this image of mine and humble myself enough, you know, to stop being ashamed to ask for help, because it's part of being human. And I think that human part of you, Jason, has began to take its place. Like, I can't do this alone. In fact, I don't want to do this alone. I want the glory to be everyone arriving at that finish line and, you know, giving each other the kudos and the high fives for a job well done, whether it's overcoming addiction, whether it's crossing the finish line of an event or a race, or whether it's, you know, reaching out the hand to accept the addict who's still suffering. None of us can do this alone, can we?
No, 100% not. You know, every day I'm even out in the community or going downtown, or even I just went to, I went to go make a deposit at the bank, and talking to the other gentleman, actually the guy set up my account, stuff like that. He's a marathon runner. He's like, hey dude. And I told him about Addict II Athlete, you know what I mean? And cause I'm going to do the, you know what I mean? Open up my own chapter. And he's like, oh, I run marathons, this and that, you know what I mean? He's like, I want to run some. I'm like, hey, check it out, man. We're going to be doing a launch here pretty soon. So, and he wants to be part of it. Same thing with even going to adult AP&P, checking in and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even see my appeal. I work I'll talk to Dane and everybody else is over drug court. I've seen one of the other probation officers, Stuart, I believe is her name. And she was like, yeah, I just did my first run, this and that. Awesome. You know what I mean? You're going to have to come be part of Addict II Athlete. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? They're just like us, man. They're just like us. They're
100%.
They love, you know what I mean? They love fitness too and everything else like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And stuff. So, and all these people, and me and Johnny went down to Chili's, sitting there having some lunch and stuff like that, just kicking it. And the guy seen the Addict II Athlete shirt. He's like, hey, what's that? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you about Addict II Athlete. He's like, hey, man, I'm from Park City. You know, we do events up there. We're going to have to be part of it. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to get you, you know what I mean? I'm bringing this out to here. We're going to get you part of it. But everybody, and also even in the other, when I go to different events and stuff like that, there people's like, hey, when you open that up, I want to come be part of that. I'm like,
so cool.
Oh man, and it's nonstop for me. You know what I mean? Because I think this week I'll go down to the police station and just go ask who the chief of police, be like, hey, I'm just letting you know.
Check this out.
Check this out. This is what's coming, man.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Here's the great thing about this too, is you're going to get all those. Guess what? I always think 5 steps ahead of the box. It doesn't matter.
Yes, you do.
You know
it's
good.
I mean? Yes.
And it's like, look, you're going to get all these haters or something like that because I post what I do. I don't care. I'm not ashamed of what I do. I'm not ashamed of my Addict Athlete. I'm not ashamed of being Coach Gonzalas. I'm not ashamed of being part of my sober community and everything else right now. You know what I mean? So if there's haters and stuff that's going to want to talk all that talk, guess what? You're in that old lifestyle, pal.
Don't need it.
You don't need it. And you know what I mean? And you're probably still in your addiction or whatever, but guess what?
We're here when you're ready.
I know it right out of my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here when you're ready. But until then, you know what I mean? Until then, I'll just, you know what I mean? We're still friends or whatever, but I'm that friend that's going to help you go to the treatment or do something if I need to, or refer you to somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Until you're ready. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think what you're doing is creating conditions for people to step into their courage, you know, because it's not an easy thing. I watch people that come to Addict Athlete for the first time, and I think it took a ton of courage for them to show up, because in their heads, I think they all kind of believe that we're these world-class Olympic athletes, and we're not. you know, I mean, we pretty much power walked the last 5K. We didn't run at all with Logan. You know, I loved watching you take off, and, you know, we all finished together. It was one of the coolest things last weekend, because it's like we're all, and then to have everyone linger a little longer so that we watched every athlete we had cross the finish line. Even that was unique, right? None of us collect our medals and go home. We're cheering for the ones that are still out there. And I think that's a lot of representation about what it looks like. Like, we're still cheering for the addict that's out there, saying, we're here when you're ready. Come to us, right? And then when they come, welcome to the team.
100%, you know, and that's the one thing about being looking at it as a team aspect. We got your back, man. You don't have to do this alone. And I've even in the other, being part of other things and doing different events and talking even to other people. Sometimes I'll just be having a conversation. I've heard one lady say, like, you know, I've been going through this and that and that and this, and I've been isolated. I say, hey, you know what? I says, that's what we're here for, man.
Yeah.
We're here. We're here for support. You don't have to do it alone. And she's teared up, and like, it's got very emotional for her. And I was just like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? But like, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because guess what? I can carry all that weight right here, man. It's okay. You know what I mean? Don't be ashamed of everything else, because I know if I needed it, you can be there for me too, because that's what a team is about. A team is about supporting one another. And, you know, if I see you start to fall, hey, guess what? I'm going to be right there. I'm going to try to help. I'm going to pick you back up, man. You know what I mean? And if I need to carry a little away, I'm going to carry you a little bit, but I'm still going to give you that support, because I'm not going to do all the work, but I'm going to carry you up and bring you up to where you can strengthen your core back up to where you're healthy.
Where you've got it. I think for you, man, you're playing for the long game now, right? Like, I think Jason, in a world kind of like obsessed with quick wins, hot takes, or, you know, hopefully to go viral or something, that instant gratification, if you will, right? I think sometimes gets us in trouble. You know, silently, I think we need to base ourselves off of proof that we're on the right path instead of results we're there. And what I mean by that is we don't really train for a win today. We train, like, you know, our mind, our bodies, our souls, so that we're standing tall in 10 years from now, right? Like, going to the gym tonight, it's going to be a win today, but that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it for life further down the road, because I think real strength isn't just what we can lift, it's what we carry in the long haul. And I think it's what kind of makes you like this unique coach for that chapter out there, is because it's about the emotional endurance over the urgency of just trying to push it away. And I think you're in it for the long haul. Is that fair to say?
Well, 100%, because number one, recovery is not, let's quick and easy. Here we go. Recovery is honestly, it's going to be a life journey until the end, because guess what? I'm learning new things. I'm not going to just stop not listening to other information and stuff like that. It comes out, you know what I mean? New things that come out about, you know what I mean? Different doctors, and they're finding out all the different processes and everything else, and new discoveries and everything else. So I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to listen to everything that happens with recovery and stuff like that. And guess what? That's awesome about being the coach and being the support and stuff like that, is because I get to pass that along. Yeah. I get to, you know what I mean?
Yep,
so
100%.
So, like, just like with my chapter out there, I'm going to encourage my people to get into that playbook, man. You know what I mean? The classroom the classroom that we have in school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to challenge them each week to, like, hey, if you got to do this, and then sign off on it each week, and this just that way it gives you a little bit of knowledge behind the informational side of recovery. But then also we're going to go do all the other things. And being an athlete does not mean that I have to go participate in everything. You know what I mean? You can still be there just to show, because guess what? Even on the sidelines or anything else, that's still support. Man.
Still support.
That's still support.
So needed.
Who doesn't? Just here, let's talk about the freedom run, man. When those kids held out their hands and people held out their hands for the high
on the
five,
parade route,
on the parade route, and I got to hit everyone. That's the people I was like, oh, that gave me a push for even to go more. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that felt good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they see you. You know.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? For those that don't know, Jason, I, and a few other athletes participated in the 4th of July Freedom Run here in Provo, Utah, and a little 5K that takes you through the parade route, and there's 1,000 people lining the sides of this street. And before the parade starts, the runners go through, and they've been there all night camping, waiting for to get their great spot. And so, yeah, their energy's up. And so they're giving you a high five because you're doing something that they're not. They don't care if you're an addict. They don't care what your history is. They see you doing something hard. And they want to give you that little boost of motivation, and it works, doesn't it? It's like on that run course, we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to go for that same destination to finish this race. I know what you're talking about. It gives you a little bit of energy, doesn't it?
100%, man. It just gave me that burst of energy. I just wanted to go even more and more, So that's
and us crossing that finish line together. That was the coolest thing.
When I start a race, I'm not looking for number one.
No,
I'm looking just for the self gratification. Like, I did it.
You did it.
I did this, and it feels good inside for me just to be able to accomplish that, especially with some of the medical issues that I have. I'm like, man, I did it. You know what I mean? And honestly,
because you have 1,000,00001 excuses not to. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
But you're I'm not taking those.
No, that it like I said, I remember the first 5K. You're like, hey, if you want to volunteer, you know what I mean? I'm like, dude. Don't count me out.
I'm running.
I'm running, man.
I love it,
I'm running, you know what I mean? But yeah.
See?
So yeah, it's just that push and stuff like that. But, and then it gives me an opportunity to show others like, look, man, and in recovery or people that know me, like, look, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
If I can do it, I'm 50 years old and old school, young school, whatever. You know what I mean? If I can do it, you should know you can do it too.
100%, man. I think that's what makes you unique, bro. That's why I think the Twila chapter is going to be in really good hands, specifically for that. I know that today, after this podcast, we're going to be gathering together with some of the other team captains and coaches to go over how we're going to launch this sucker. And so realistically, listeners, you need to stay tuned to the website and the calendar because we'd love to have you come out and participate in the launching of Jason's chapter of Addict II Athlete in Twila County sometime in September. And so it's going to be a powerful experience. Each night when you kind of hit that pillow, I'm so curious, man, because you have each day living as if it's your last and you meet lots of people. What does Jason say to revigorate himself for the next day? Because there's a lot of work to be done. How do you not get overwhelmed with how big the responsibility is?
Well, number one, sometimes that anxiety will hit and I'm just like, I have to check myself in my mind, be like, calm down. This is not a race. You know what I mean? This is a process, right? And I need to do this process right because if this process is done right and I take the necessary steps and don't try to rush into everything, but plan it out and to put the things in place that I need to I prioritize, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if something doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But, I just know that this isn't a rush process because who wants a rush process? This is the time to reflect.
Absolutely.
To make sure it's done right because it's not only about me, it's about my community and the others who I want to support and who I have love for.
100%, man. Athletes, you've absolutely been well fed. You know, Coach Jason here is going to have his own. You do have your own Addict II Athlete email, so we will be tagging that on here to get in touch with him out there in the beautiful territory that is Tooele County. I just think that it's not just a leadership on Team Addict II Athlete. It really is the soul of like wanting something better for each participant. You know as well as I do, we can't finish the race for them. They have to do that, but we'll be there coaching, running alongside, motivating, but we can't do it for you.
No, 100%. And here's the other thing is I may be head coach Gonzalas, but guess what? You guys are all equal to me because this is my team. This is our team, not my team.
I have to keep reminding you of that. It's our team.
This is our team, man. And this is our team, and it's not about just me. It's about all of us because we're all going to be in that image of Addict II Athlete and everything else. This is not my chapter. This is Twila community chapter. This is about everybody in Tooele community, you know, and all over if you want to be part of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is going to be a great, Tooele is going to be epic, man. That's all I can say is, it's going to be great for the community. And
it's well deserved, man.
You're going to see my face and name a lot.
Yes, we will.
Just so you guys know.
Mark those words.
100%. Because like what I say, I'm a man of my word. So
yes, you are.
Social media, everything else. Yeah. I'm going to be plastered all over just with my face and just things. I believe that it's in my vision that's going to help other in the community. It's going to help other athletes. It's going to help here's the other thing, other artists, right?
Oh yeah. Addict artist. You have both of them.
That's my other umbrella too, I with my Native American roots, I do my Native American jewelry.
I've seen it.
Like that. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
So,
yeah.
And
you're a creator.
Yes, 100%. And I know there's so many artists out there. And man,
there's more artists out there than there are athletes, and that's why it's so important.
And here's the thing: is I was thinking, right, preparing and everything else. So when you combined an addict to athlete and an addict to artist, you have an artistic athlete.
Yes, absolutely, man. I like that. See? Boom, dropping the mic. Absolutely. So listeners, keep your eye on the calendar. We'll have all the information, and obviously watch the socials as we lead up to it. September is National Recovery Month, and that's why it's so important that we hit those dates, because that's kind of, I think, the part where we get to step out of those shadows and show the community at large who we are. We're not anonymous. We definitely take our place in the public's eye, because I think in this day and age, anonymity has its place, but it's also a deadly task if we're trying to keep this stuff secret. So, we're all on the same team at the very end. So keep an eye on the website. Athletes, again, they can't thank you enough for sharing this podcast. And remember, the goal is for you to turn your mess into your message.